All right, with Nash gone, the Nets decided to go all in on controversy. Woj is reporting they are finalizing a deal to hire the suspended Celtics coach, Ime Udoka.
Udoka, yep.
Yeah. The Celtics didn't even ask for anything in return, which is a pretty bad sign, it seems like. There is no doubt that Udoka is a great coach, but no one's sure what's really happened. No one's sure what really happened in Boston.
Yeah.
Am I crazy to think that this actually might work? Which I do believe.
It might work, but there's a lot of levels to this one as well. Okay? So, first one, the Nets are... Nobody knows what happened in Boston. That's correct.
Right.
If it was as simple as a consensual workplace relationship that was just against the Celtics rules that gets messy because he theoretically is in a big position of power as the head coach, but there were no complaints, nothing untoward, that's one thing. If it's what Matt Barnes implied was going on when he was doing the Instagram video live from his car, that it was way worse than that, and the Celtics' own investigation says there were some crude comments or something, that takes us different levels. No matter what, you would want to fully vet it. The Nets are going to claim we vetted this. My question is when? While Nash was still your head coach? When? What's the... It was reported that Udoka was getting this job. Within hours of it being reported, Nash was fired. So when either you didn't vet it or you had decided you were done with Nash weeks ago and went into the season with him. That's ridiculous. That's the non-basketball part. The basketball part, Haralabos Vulgaris, who is the greatest NBA gambler of all time, he made so much... DeMonte, talk about living the dream. Haralabob, who's a buddy of mine, made so much money gambling and playing poker. And he was then an early Bitcoin investor. That he now... This guy was a sky cap at a Canadian airport, saved all his money up, became a professional sports bettor, little poker, then got into crypto. Now owns one of the prettiest yachts you'll ever see and just bought a Spanish soccer team. Owns CD Castellan. Bought the soccer team.
I love it.
And using his analytical models from the NBA to try to help, on soccer, they're a third tier team. They're not in the top league.
Right.
Trying to get them promoted. What a life, right? He made the point that Udoka had on his staff Will Hardy and Joe Mazzulla. So Will Hardy is now the coach of the Jazz. Maybe the most surprisingly good team in the league. Joe Mazzulla's coaching the Celtics. They haven't seemed to miss a beat, right? So that's not to say Udoka's not excellent, but it will be interesting to see him without those two guys. How much of the X's and O's or whatever were those two guys? The question will be, of course, will he get the Nets to buy in on defense? That's the question everyone's asking. The reason I think that's the wrong question is, let's say the Celtics last year and the Nets with Udoka have the exact same level of defensive buy-in. It's a big difference. If you have Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Robert Williams, and Tatum to throw out there defensively, and Derek White, as opposed to who the Nets have. The thing that everyone's always been like, the Nets just don't try on defense. And they don't have the personnel. Right. They're short. They're not crazy athletic. Will he be an upgrade over Nash immediately?
Yeah.
Will it be enough to fix what I believe is a broken roster? Durant not wanting to be there, all of that? No. And last point on Kyrie. Wilds made this point on TV yesterday. Okay, so Kyrie's now released this statement. He's given this money. He's going to be able to come back. What are the odds Kyrie Irving pitches a perfect game the rest of the year? He doesn't step in it again on something. Like the last 3 years with the Nets, he took a 2-week leave of absence, reportedly because he was so disturbed by what happened January 6th at the Capitol. I was disturbed by what happened there. The whole country should have been more disturbed than it was. It was I wouldn't have had that on my bingo card of why Kyrie misses half a month, is that. The next year, he's like, I've decided I'm an anti-vaccine mandate. Well, that's new. This year, I'm going to dabble in some unintentional anti-Semitism and then be obstreperous when I'm asked about it. It's such random, controversy. Yeah. You know what I mean? The idea that now he's going to go the next 6 months and not all of a sudden, what's the next thing? Yeah. There's no way to predict it. It's the, and they're all just so, it's wait, what? He's and so, whimsical dude. Right. Whimsical is a great word for it. All right, next one. By the way, the poll says 62% say they think the Udoka hire will backfire. One last point on that. Sorry. There is how do I put this? So there was weird kind of in the shadows reporting that the Udoka thing is ugly. It's bad. Go ahead.
I think that he did something with somebody that was above him's wife. I think it's one of the only thing that makes sense.
Okay, so I thought that initially too. That's not what it was.
They're not talking about it, and if it was so bad.
Right. Okay, so that I thought when I initially saw it and I was he's suspended for a year for what's called a consensual relationship. I thought the same thing too. Just also, this is a good learning moment for you here real quick. We should be careful on stuff like that just because there are so few people above the head coach in an organization. We're down to 4 people who you could be talking about. So I understand what you're saying there. But that's fine. We'll call that learning on the fly. But you know what I mean? It's if you're gonna throw something out there, you want it to be a huge pool of candidates, right. Not it's these 4 people you're talking about. But there was initial reporting is real bad. And then the reporting stopped. And the thought process by many was, it stopped because it was going to do real damage to the woman involved, and if that woman had a family or children or whatever. Didn't want to do damage there, particularly if that woman was married or something, right? And the reason I think sometimes reporters make a journalistic choice of, he's already been suspended. He's not going to coach this year. What is gained by this? There was a basketball player a few years ago who had someone close to them pass, and it was a real tragedy. And then I think everyone found out the circumstance of the passing was not necessarily as, I don't want to say innocent, but some bad decisions were made that led to the passing, and nobody reported it. Because it was you know what I mean? That person's not a famous, you know what I mean? It just caused more pain. So here's why I bring that up. I think there's the thought process that there's more to this story. It wasn't reported to protect that person, possibly, and what's the point of it? He's already suspended. Is there a chance now, if he gets a new job and there is something to gain from reporting it, whoa, this guy should not be the head coach of a team, that it then comes out? Right. Nets got to be very careful of that. They better really have vetted this. Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to get more from the show, and make sure to click the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just click the link in the description below.